Hey, it's Geoff Grace with the Grace Real Estate team at Remax Hallmark in Toronto, and it's May 26th, and I'm excited about what's happening in the Toronto real estate market. This is my most recent update on COVID versus Toronto real estate. And let me get into the numbers here. If you haven't seen any of my prior videos, let me explain that we're tracking the number of showings booked on a daily basis through Broker Bay, which is a software that the top 50 brokerages in Toronto use to book their appointments. And pre-COVID, we had a daily spike of 11,500 appointments. This right here is when COVID affected the Toronto real estate market, and we reached a low of 1,600. And in the past few weeks, we've been trending upwards, last week reaching 5,800. This is the last 4 weeks zoomed in, and you'll see that we're seeing this uptrend, and it's sort of exponential to growing with a little bit of an uptick here in showing activity in the city of Toronto, which is fantastic. And we look at this week versus the same week in April, so month over month, we're seeing that we're more than double. We were at about 2,500 showings at the peak of that week. And as I said, we're up to over 5,800 at this point. When we're looking month over month, it's also interesting to look at the fact that there's a 47% increase in MLS listings, a 49% increase in exclusive listings, and a 50% increase in the number of solds. And what I'd like to see here is the number of solds is keeping pace with the number of new listings. And so that's showing me that properties that are being listed in the market are being absorbed by buyers at this point. And that's going to keep the market healthy and balanced. Week over week, you'll see we've upticked by about 5%. But the interesting number here is that while the number of new MLS showings is up only 6%, the number of new exclusive listings is up almost 23%. And I don't talk about exclusive listings very much. So let me give you a little bit of a background here. Most of our clients hire us to get them the most amount of money for their property. That's probably what you'd want as well. And that's usually determined by being on the open market so that all the buyers in the world know your property is for sale and potentially would bid on it. When COVID hit, the number of buyers drastically dropped. We saw that in this earlier slide, from this peak here down into this trough. And so a lot of buyers weren't visiting properties, and a lot of sellers didn't really want buyers into their home for health concerns. Obviously, that's a reality these days. And so while prior to COVID, we weren't really worried about exposing a home to the market and finding the right buyer because there were so many buyers, there was bidding wars left, right, and center. During COVID, if you found a qualified active buyer willing to pay the right price for your property, that was probably the best person out there. And that could be done exclusively. It didn't have to be on MLS. And so earlier in COVID, what we saw was the number of MLS listings decrease and the number of exclusive listings increase. But in the last few weeks, as buyer activity has increased, most realtors have been telling their clients, hey, we're at a point in the market now where the buyer pool is getting broader, and maybe we should be getting back onto MLS if you're fine with your health concerns. A lot of people have been moving out of their homes and selling them vacant and then moving back in, or just taking precautions while showings are happening. But in the last week, we've seen a trend back to the higher number of exclusive listings and lower number of MLS listings, which is counter to what I would have expected. But I think what's happening here is we're seeing this exclusive number of listings up 22% are really properties that are preparing themselves for the market that will be going on MLS in the next few weeks. And so the agents are simply putting it on our exclusive network that we have access to let all the other realtors know that, hey, this property is going to be available shortly. So I think what we're going to see is in the next couple of weeks, this MLS number increase and the exclusive numbers decrease. And one example of that is this house at 86 Prairie Drive that we had for sale. We met these clients at the beginning of COVID, and we felt the value was about $765. I later learned they spoke with another realtor who had given them a value of $730. But in the middle of COVID, I told them to really move this property with a really low number of buyers out there. You're probably going to have to list it like $699. They didn't want to sell at that price, nor did I want to see them sell at that price. So we took this as an exclusive listing at $765, the full pre-COVID price with no discount applied, and said, we'll market it exclusively. And if we can find someone to buy it at the price you want, amazing. And if not, when the market comes back, we'll put it on MLS and we'll sell it at that point. Well, last weekend, we actually sold this property for full price. We were about to put it on MLS because we're seeing that market activity come back. and we were thinking, okay, now's the time we can get it on the open market. But as timing had it, there was a realtor that had a perfect buyer for it. They saw it, they loved it, and they purchased it. So I want to make this brief, but what's happening in the Toronto real estate market right now is we're seeing confidence. We're seeing a really good uptick in the number of showings. We're seeing properties that are listed on the market right now at a reasonable price sell in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. There's been a huge number of homes in the east end of Toronto where our office is located that we've seen bidding wars even on. So there is activity out there. We have to still be careful. We can't price it too low. Our expectations can't be too high. But as long as we have realistic expectations for a property, there are definitely enough buyers out there to absorb the new listings. So if you have any questions about how this market's affected your property's value, if you're looking to move during this opportunity, give us a call at 416-699-9295. Every property is completely different. A condo at $450,000 versus a luxury home at $3.5 million. COVID has completely affected those markets differently, and we want to take a tailored approach to how we give you advice. I hope this video was useful, and reach out to us directly if you have any questions.